I realized, at the very start of my career that there would be a very specific element that only you can bring to the table. What I realized that a lot of people used to consider not knowing English as a hindrance. One of the things that I learned over a period of time, and it became, let's say, the holy grail of my understanding of whatever we communicate with, is that we usually talk about this sort of communication that we say either we are into a B2B setup or we are into a B2C setup, which is like either you're talking at a very business to business communication or you're talking to an individual or a customer in a B2C setup. And then there is another third layer we often mention is B2G, which is talking to a government official, right? Or in a very government setup. But eventually, if you look at it at any organizational setup you are in, or in that communication bracket you are actually talking to a person, right? It's a very, and this is the methodology that I picked up, that which I realized at the very start of my career, that people do really need to interact with you at a very individual layer, because the first thing that they want to develop with you is trust, right? And for that they have to really understand who you are as a person. They're not talking to in a very robotic manner. Even if you're writing them an email, people are really very wary of that fact that they are talking to a human being, and there would be a very specific element that only you can bring to the table. So I think I very at the start only I started to, like, I realized that making myself stick to this thing, that it's a very business to business communication, and Nidhi as Mittal cannot be there, that flavor cannot be there, will not help me. And the same way, if I'm talking to a directly to a customer and I do not add an element to how who I am and what I can bring to that conversation, it will not help me. And over the period of time, there is a particular style that has become, which is very synonymous to me. The people who really know me beyond this 1 hour, and in my business setup or in my personal life, or where I spend more time, for a longer session or something, eventually they end up understanding that, okay, this is how Nidhi is, and this is the kind of this is the way we would love to interact with her, and she is open for. So I think that was something which I have developed as part of my own persona, and that should be something very, very important for all of us to develop at any stage of our career. If we are studying, even for that matter, if we are in the first year of our jobs or even 20 years of our jobs, wherever we are, if it becomes synonymous to that who you are as an individual, and this is your way of communicating, irrespective of whether you're communicating in a particular language, you're communicating through a particular medium. What I realized that a lot of people used to consider not knowing English as a hindrance to their communication. That everybody expects that we should only be communicating in English. That is not the thing. If you have a very strong backed up information or knowledge that you're trying to put on the table, it's okay to even talk in Hindi, right? But we lose sometimes our confidence thinking that communication is equal to English language, which is not right. Right? It's just there is a particular set of information or a message. There is something that you have which you are wanting to deliver to somebody. And that should be very clearly reaching to that individual. Now, it could be in a particular language, it could be through a particular medium, but that is of more importance than you are not able to tell it in English.